Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Prasar Singh. Coming up in the next 1 hour, US President Joe Biden appeals for calm and unity, asks for lowering of political temperatures and resolving differences at the ballot box, not with bullets. Donald Trump also signals a non-aggressive campaign. No hope of survivors in last week's bus accident in Nepal. Rescue efforts still on. 55 people missing. India Meteorological Department issues an alert for heavy rainfall across southern and central India. Orange alert issued for Mumbai. Red alert for 4 districts of Maharashtra. Argentina clinches a record 16th Copa America football tournament with a 1-0 extra time victory over Colombia. After a failed assassination attempt on Donald Trump, US President Joe Biden used the formal setting of the White House Oval Office to ask Americans to lower the political temperature. In a statement, Biden called on Americans to take a step back and cool down the political rhetoric. It was Biden's third use of the formal setting of the Oval Office to comment on issues of major importance to Americans since he took power in 2021. Jagruti Dave reports from Washington, D.C.
President Biden spoke for around 10 minutes, and in that short time he sought to deliver a message of unity, calling for Americans to resolve their differences at the ballot box and not with bullets. Listing a series of examples which included January the 6th, the attack on former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband, as well as Saturday's shooting, President Biden said there is no place for this kind of violence in America and that hate must have no safe harbor, telling Americans that they must all get out of their silos and stand together despite their differences.
My fellow Americans, I want to speak to you tonight about the need for us to lower the temperature in our politics. And to remember, while we may disagree, we are not enemies. We're neighbors, we're friends, co-workers, citizens, and most importantly, we're our fellow Americans. We must stand together. There is no place in America for this kind of violence, or for any violence ever. Period. No exceptions. We can't allow this violence to be normalized. You know, the political record in this country has gotten very heated. It's time to cool it down. We all have a responsibility to do that. Yes, we have deeply felt strong disagreements. The stakes in this election are enormously high.
On Saturday, Mr. Biden had what the White House described as a good, short and respectful call with Mr. Trump. Security plans for this week's Republican National Convention are unaltered in the wake of the shooting. Mr. Trump is attending and is expected to be formally nominated as his party's presidential candidate. Jagruti Dave in Washington reporting for DD India.
And the failed assassination attempt on Trump in Pennsylvania didn't come as a surprise looking at the history of the US. However, what is interesting to note is the tone of the campaigning a day after the incident. More in this report.
From no-holds-barred election rhetoric to a unified message of calm and unity, the assassination attempt on former US President Donald Trump has changed the campaign narrative across the political landscape in the US. US President Joe Biden's re-election campaign has appended its strategy after the assassination attempt on Republican rival Donald Trump, calling off verbal attacks on the former president to focus instead on a message of unity. Within hours of Saturday's shooting, Biden's campaign pulled down television ads and suspended other political communications. Democrats also removed campaign threads highlighting Trump's May felony conviction in New York State Court relating to hush money case. Biden instead called for unity and asked Americans to let the FBI do their job and to cool it down.
There is no place in America for this kind of violence, or any violence for that matter. An assassination attempt is contrary to everything we stand for as a nation, everything. It's not who we are as a nation. It's not America. And we cannot allow this to happen. Unity is the most elusive goal of all, but nothing is important than that right now, unity. I urge everyone, please, don't make assumptions about his motives or his affiliations. Let the FBI do their job and their partner agencies do their job. I've directed an independent review of the national security at yesterday's rally to assess exactly what happened, and we'll share the results of that independent review with the American people as well.
Biden's Republican rival Donald Trump also signaled that he will not be engaging in aggressive political statements and instead focus on calm and unity. Trump is due to accept his party's formal nomination at the Republican National Convention with a speech on Thursday. He told the Washington Examiner that this is a chance to bring the whole country, even the world, together. Biden's address from the White House Oval Office signified the immense importance of the president that is attached to getting the message delivered in right tone and tenor. It is his third use of the formal setting of the Oval Office to comment on issues of major importance. Antara Sinha for DD India.
Meanwhile, Pennsylvania firehouse on July 14th paid tribute to the fallen colleague who was killed by gunfire while attending Donald Trump's rally. The tribute included a memorial service attended by fellow firefighters, family members and community residents. This tragic incident has cast a shadow over the community and sparked discussions about safety at public events. The loss marks as a stark reminder of the risks faced by first responders and the need for measures to ensure the safety of all citizens at public gatherings. And Republican candidates for U.S. presidential race, a candidate for the U.S. presidential race, Donald Trump, will receive his party's official 2024 nomination for presidency during the four-day Republican National Convention beginning on Monday. The convention will feature televised speeches by rising Republican stars and Trump's choice for a yet-to-be-announced vice presidential running mate, while highlighting the party's stance on topics such as abortion, immigration and the economy. We now quickly tell you what is expected to take place at the Republican National Convention. Okay, what will take place at this convention is that the party delegates from all states and U.S. territories will attend this convention. The delegates will select nominees for president and vice president. Donald Trump is expected to announce his running mate by Monday. Trump to formally accept nomination with speech on Thursday. Milwaukee is the largest city in Wisconsin, making it the choice of location for the convention. The event is an opportunity for the party to get lots of publicity and rally supporters. Republican Party's platform will be approved on the first day of the National Convention. The 16-page party platform is a formal statement of policy positions. It also includes Trump's position that individual U.S. states will decide on the issue of abortion. The platform pledges that Trump and Republicans will build a missile defense shield over the United States. The platform also pledges to carry out the largest deportation in American history. The RNC has announced themes for all 4 days. Monday will focus on how Trump would turn the page on Biden's economic agenda. Tuesday will outline Trump policies to target crime and support law enforcement. Wednesday will feature plans to stem immigration at the southern border with Mexico. Thursday will center on Trump's overall strategy for strengthening the country. And to talk more about that, I'm joined by Professor SW Singh, foreign affairs expert, teaches at the Jawaharlal Nehru University in the national capital. Thank you, Professor Singh, for joining me on the show. Unified calls for unity. Biden says time to cool it down. Violence has no place. Violence and hate has no place in their politics. Lower temperatures. We are not enemies. When the society is so divided there, so polarized there, how would these calls from both sides now that such an incident has taken place, almost a brush with death for Donald Trump, a close brush with death for Donald Trump here, what effect could it have?
Amrit, as you are noticing already, there is a change in the language of electioneering, of advertisements from both the parties. So definitely in the short run, I think there is going to be enormous restraint on both sides. But equally interesting is the spate of support that we are noticing from business tycoons, from political spectrums. In fact, the language of President Biden is completely different now. So already uncontested presumed candidate of Republican Party becomes even more stronger in that sense. Already he is showing enormous lead, not just within the Republican Party, but even on President Joe Biden. So the challenges for Joe Biden campaign team are going to be much more now. But it makes it little more, reinforcement of what is already known, that it is likely that Donald Trump would be coming back to the White House in that sense. But what is something which will go beyond his presidency is that symbolic fist that he showed in terms of showing strength of a politician in times of crisis. And that, I think, is going to become a kind of a symbolic photograph. Already around the world, that picture has gone in the media. I was reading that there are even those pictures being printed on T-shirts in China, expecting them to be exported to, future party rallies in the United States. So enormous strengthening of the credentials of Donald Trump, and of course symbolism of his response to that tragic situation. He is going to go beyond his presidency. I heard initially you mentioning that this is not the first time. And this is not only in the United States that such incidents happen, which I think is also something that globally the narrative of electioneering is something that needs to address over years. Partly thanks to infusion of enormous technology, especially social media, the anxiety and pressure of these articulations in electioneering have become increasingly personal and increasingly harsh, sometimes crossing red lines. And that kind of overall global shift in the narrative is something that needs to worry, I suppose, all political elites around the world. And in that sense, United States being perhaps, let me say, the most visible kind of country in terms of whatever happens in that country, should then perhaps trigger some kind of rethinking around the world. I hope that the impact of calls for unity and sobriety would stay beyond few weeks.
Well, one should expect that. That's the reasonable thing to expect. But Professor Singh, when you raise the temperature so much by both sides, would it have a calming effect? Go to the social media, see there is, within minutes of that attack, it's so polar, the society is so polarized. Half of them were saying, well, it's a staged thing and that, still persists. The others saying, look, they came out to kill us. So when the society is so divided, when the line runs right down the middle, do you think it'll cool down anytime soon?
I agree with you on this, Amrit, and it's not just irresponsible wolf warriors on social media. The article that came on in New York Times, I think, is also something that has come to notice. I hear that Elon Musk has, on his X, criticized the nature of that article And so many other people are also. So not just the divide is impacting the uncontrolled, unregulated, individuals, even institutions over a period of time, kind of, trying to placate that sentiment which they notice is becoming popular in society. Even responsible media houses have sometimes, shown that vulnerability of towing that line or speaking the same language in that sense. As I said, I hope that this sobriety and call for unity will go beyond few weeks. But I also agree with you in the sense of the deeper divide in society that has happened over a period of time, the deeper anxiety that generations, which are called Z generations or even millennials, have undergone. That is a societical kind of challenge. The fabric itself is under kind of enormous stress in that sense. How people behave, how people express themselves, that kind of transformation of or deterioration rather of public articulations is a deeper question. And that is why I say I hope this sobriety stays beyond weeks, because I understand that kind of polarization which is happening around the world is much deeper, and this could come back again and then start going back to the same way of talking to each other or addressing each other. And that, I think, is something we have to be
is a real threat. Okay. One last thing, Professor SW Singh. Divisions exist in all society. We went through elections here in India. We saw, raised political rhetoric here, attacks, counter-attacks, some factual, some semi-factual, some completely baseless, etc. And their political violence does take place, but not this sort of a violence where you attack, the principal leader or try to shoot him down or kill him. Is what's happening in the US symptomatic of the scourge that the society faces, or the malaise that the society faces, that guns are easily available here? Here, if I don't like a leader, I may not like him, and in the confines of my home or talking amongst my friends, I may tell them that he's a scum or she's a scum, and I don't like his or her policies. But I don't get a gun so easily here, but there you do.
That's right, and that is something which has made many people worry about the future of United States. The kind of gun culture and gun violence and easy access to all kinds of guns of most sophisticated kind is very unusual in United States. Just next door neighbor, Canada doesn't have that. In fact, none of the other countries have that kind of free access and use of weapons by citizens. It is usually explained in terms of their freedom movement being the one where people were supposed to arm themselves. But that's a long gone story, and today we live in a very different world. And I think if United States has any major challenge to deal with, it is this gun violence, which is making many people really worried about the nature of American society and what is going to happen to that. And this is a reflection of several of those things, but also partly how institutions respond to that. I mean, questions will also be asked on, FBI, on security, secret services, etc., whether they could have acted better in a situation like this. Now, what I read is explanation that the assassin was beyond the periphery of the security sort of cleansing that was done.
But that doesn't count for anything. He had a straight line, a line of sight, and 150 yards away.
And in fact, a lot of questions on the person who's being called as assassin at this stage. So I assume we will have to also wait for the total investigation report to come, because all kinds of speculations and insinuations are being made right now, which are confusing a lot of things at this stage. But hopefully, I think the immediate message is one of sobriety and unity. And hopefully, I hope no such other incidents take place in coming weeks or months until elections happen.
Yeah, let's hope for that, and let's hope they settle at the ballot box rather than through the bullet. Professor SW Singh, thank you very much for joining us and lending us your perspective. And still to come on DD India News Hour, Israeli military chief says Hamas is hiding the fate of its armed wing commander in Gaza, Mohammed Deif. KP Sharma Oli sworn in as the new Prime Minister of Nepal. Rwanda heads for polls today to elect its president.
Voice of a rising aspirational world. Stories of challenges, struggles and accomplishment. A world battling conflict, hunger and poverty. Embracing growth, development, science and technology. A voice of progress, a voice of unity. Watch Voice of the Global South with me, Akshay Dongre, only on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Amritpal Singh. Hostage and ceasefire talks are once again hanging in balance in the wake of Israel's attempted assassination of a senior Hamas official. A senior Hamas official said that they have not withdrawn from the ceasefire talks with Israel after attacks in Gaza that targeted the group's military leader Mohammed Deif. It comes as pressure is mounting on Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to do a deal with the Hamas to bring the remaining captives home. Sarah Coates has more from Tel Aviv.
Now, with fighting continuing right across the Strip, these very delicate, very fragile hostage and ceasefire talks once again hang in the balance amid conflicting reports from Hamas officials on whether the group will move forward on these talks or whether it will pull out. Now, we have heard from the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in the wake of this assassination attempt on one senior Hamas commander, leader Mohammed Deif. On Saturday, he came out to say that he's not absolutely certain that Deif was killed in Saturday's strike, adding that it's generated pressure on Hamas to soften its stance when it comes to negotiations. But certainly the loved ones, the family members of these people still being held in Gaza are extremely concerned. There have been demonstrations over the last few days right across Israel as people demand Benjamin Netanyahu come to the table and do a deal with Hamas now. And we do have a statement from the Hostage and Missing Families Forum. It came out to say that by the time everyone comes to their senses and works together, there may be no one to bring back. Now, as domestic pressure continues to build on Benjamin Netanyahu to do a deal with Hamas, also international pressure is mounting. He is set to meet with US President Joe Biden at the White House on the 22nd of July. That is just 2 days ahead of his congressional address. Reporting from Tel Aviv, I'm Sarah Coates for DD India.
Oli took oath as Prime Minister along with 21 ministers joining his cabinet from 4 parties in the freshly brewed alliance. Sharma was appointed Nepal's Prime Minister for a 4th term on Sunday to lead a new coalition government. First elected as Prime Minister in 2015, Oli was re-elected in 2018 and then reappointed briefly in 2021. Under the new power-sharing arrangement, Oli and the Nepali Congress President Sher Bahadur Deuba will rotate in holding the Prime Minister's post until the next general election in 2027. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in a social media post on X, congratulated KP Sharma Oli, the Prime Minister of Nepal. The Prime Minister looks forward to working closely to strengthen the deep bonds of friendship between the two countries. That's what Narendra Modi wrote on X, congratulating KP Sharma Oli. And Arzu Rana Deuba has become the Minister for Foreign Affairs in the new government of Nepal. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar congratulated Arzu Deuba. In a tweet, he said, and I quote, "Look forward to working with you to enhance India-Nepal multifaceted partnership," unquote. Nepal police has now said that there is no hope for survivors in the bus accident that took place last Friday, as reports said that 55 still remain missing. Rescues resumed the search of the site of Friday's incident in Chitwan district, which is about 86 kilometers west of capital Kathmandu. after a landslide had swept two buses into a river swollen due to heavy rain. Despite their efforts, the rough terrain and high water levels have severely hampered progress and made it difficult. However, officials have said that the search operation in Trishuli River will continue till the buses are located. Rwandans have begun voting in the country's presidential and legislative elections, which are poised to extend the longtime leader Paul Kagame's tenure for another 5 years. Polling stations opened at about 7 a.m. local time on Monday across the East African country, where more than 9 million people are registered to participate. Kagame had won more than 93% of the vote at each of the 3 previous elections. 8 candidates had applied to run against him, but only 2 were retained in the final list validated by the Electoral Commission. The others, including Kagame's most vocal critics, were barred for various reasons that include prior criminal convictions. Venezuela's opposition leaders attended a rally at one of the main universities in Venezuela to speak with students ahead of the July 28th vote. Venezuelan opposition presidential candidate Edmundo Gonzalez and opposition leader Maria Corina Machado visited the Universidad Central de Venezuela to meet the students. The rector of the UCV had initially denied permission to hold the rally headed by Gonzalez and Machado. However, hundreds of young students showed their rejection to the decision and attended the event to show their support. Machado, who is banned from public office, is backing the presidential hopeful Gonzalez. Gonzalez will face incumbent president and ruling party's presidential candidate Nicolas Maduro. And big news just coming in from Pakistan. Security forces have foiled a terrorist attack in the Bannu cantonment. Terrorists attempted to enter the cantonment by detonating an explosive-laden vehicle on the road between the outer wall of the Bannu camp and the supply depot. At least 12 Pakistani soldiers have been killed and more than 50 people are injured in the attack. About 4 terrorists have been neutralized. Special service group is operating at the scene as firing is still on. Local security was tightened after the arrival of US troops in Bannu Kent. Pakistan has witnessed an uptick in terror activities in the past year, with Center for Research and Security Studies reporting that the country during the second quarter of 2024 witnessed 380 violence-linked fatalities and 220 injuries. And let's now take a look at other stories making news around the world. Pakistan government has banned Imran Khan's party, the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf. This comes after the Lahore police arrested Imran Khan in connection with cases against him over the May 9 riots. The arrest comes after National Accountability Bureau secured his 8-day remand in the Tosha Khana case. Citing security reasons, Imran Khan could not be shifted to Lahore for a hearing, but will virtually appear before an anti-terrorism court on Monday in Lahore. At least 5 have been killed and 20 are injured as a car bomb exploded outside a restaurant in Somalia's capital, Mogadishu, on Sunday night. The cafe was packed with people watching the final of the Euro 2024 football tournament. The bomb destroyed 10 cars and damaged several buildings nearby. Al-Shabaab militants claimed responsibility for the attack. And still to come up on DD India News Hour, Vikram Misri takes over as India's new Foreign Secretary. World Youth Skills Day is being observed today. And India's National Testing Agency to conduct the retest for affected candidates of Central University entrance test on Friday.
We just don't bring you the news as it unfolds. We get to the heart of the matter.
We don't just present facts, we demystify complex social, political and economic events.
We break stories that shape the world's present and future because you deserve the truth.
I am Tanvi Taneja from New Delhi.
I'm Ollie Barrett from London.
I'm Nick Harper from Washington, D.C.
Join us on DD India Global Monday to Friday at these times.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Amritpal Singh. US President Joe Biden appeals for calm and unity, asks for lowering of political temperature and resolving differences at the ballot box, not with bullets. Donald Trump also signals a non-aggressive campaign. No hope of survivors in last week's bus accident in Nepal. Rescue efforts on. 55 people still missing. India Meteorological Department issues alert for heavy rain across southern and central India. Orange alert issued for Mumbai. Red alert for 4 districts of Maharashtra. Argentina clinches the record 16th Copa America football tournament with a 1-0 extra time victory over Colombia. You're watching DD India News Hour. Time now for weather-related updates. The India Meteorological Department has issued alerts for widespread and heavy rainfall across southern and central India in the coming days. An orange alert has also been issued for Mumbai, as some areas may face heavy to very heavy rainfall, and a red alert for 4 districts of Maharashtra was also released. The IMD further stated that the monsoon is set to remain active over peninsular and adjoining central India over the next 4-5 days, raising concerns about potential flooding and waterlogging in the affected regions. And the flood situation in India's northeastern state of Assam is showing significant improvement. The death toll reached 94 with 2 more confirmed deaths on Sunday. Although Brahmaputra continues to flow above the danger mark in some areas, over 30,000 people have taken shelter in 172 relief camps spread across the state. So, this is a perennial problem there. Brahmaputra, almost every rain season overflows. Given that it's a huge river, almost looks like a sea if you've seen the Brahmaputra river. And people every year, every monsoon season are evacuated because have to be evacuated because Brahmaputra overflows and flows above the danger mark. And talking about Mumbai rains, I'm joined by my colleague Shama Mishra, who and also Debyendu Mondo. Shama is joining us from Mumbai. Okay, Shama, I see you with an umbrella. Tell us, is it raining in Mumbai? How hard is it raining? An orange alert has been issued. Is it parts of Mumbai or all of Mumbai? And what is the flooding situation?
For starters, Amrit, it is that the situation here in Mumbai is quite better now, and it is on yellow alert. We had seen orange alert were issued for a few days, for last few days, but now it's come down to yellow alert. So the situation is quite under control, and it's been raining, it's been drizzling since morning here and there, but waterlogging issues are not coming to the fore. However, rest districts in Maharashtra are actually facing a grim situation, especially in the Konkan belt. We are talking about Sindhudurg, Ratnagiri, Raigad. These areas are seeing heavy rains, continuous rains, and orange alert has been issued for these areas. For Sindhudurg, it is red alert, so we can understand the situation in Sindhudurg and the nearby areas are quite grim. We are also understanding that there is an incident of soil slippage on the Konkan railway region belt, and this is near Dautekhadi, and because of that, the entire train traffic has been diverted, many trains have been cancelled, rescheduled, and all those people who were stuck, stranded in the trains, they have been now taken in the state transport buses and they have been moved to Mumbai. So many buses have been arranged for these commuters, for these passengers. Apart from that, we are also understanding that in Sindhudurg, on the Ghat way, there has been boulder slippage incidents, and that has also caused the normal traffic over there it has disrupted the normal traffic. We are also understanding that there are several areas, several districts and areas nearby the river areas, including the rivers Kundalika, Amba. These rivers are flowing above their danger mark. So people where any untoward incident can happen, they've been moved to safer places and they've been moved to camps. So, there'll be no untoward situation there. We are also understanding that in Raigad, Ratnagiri, near the coastal region, near the sea area, people or the fishermen have been given this warning that they should not be venturing when the seas are rough. The good news is in Mumbai that in the areas where the lakes are there, the catchment areas, where the lakes which supply water to Mumbai, the 7 lakes which supply water to Mumbai, they are quickly getting filled. So around this time, what we're talking about, it's around 30%. So it's a good sign that the mark is coming up, but still a long way to go till the water woes of Mumbai gets resolved. But yes, the situation has to be watched in entire Maharashtra, because these alerts, the orange alert, would be there in Raigad area, the Konkan belts for quite few days. So we will have to be watchful of the situation.
Okay. So you take care of yourself. Mumbai is getting better, Shama, but don't go out without that umbrella of yours. Thank you very much for joining us for the moment. And leaders across the world have reacted to the attempted assassination attempt on former US President Donald Trump, with some expressing concerns that political violence could spread further. Leaders in the United Kingdom and across Europe condemned the act of violence and called for calm and civility to be restored to politics. And joining me now to go through the reactions on the Trump shooting incident is our Brussels correspondent, Alex Kadia. Alex, what have the leaders been saying in response to this, the European leaders? Give us an update on that.
Well, they've been united in their condemnation of the attack. Without question, that's been across the European Union, the United Kingdom. We heard Ursula von der Leyen, the President of the European Commission, that building behind me here in Brussels, saying she was deeply shocked by the attack, wishing the former president a speedy recovery and saying that political violence has no place in our democracies. A similar message from Keir Starmer, the new Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, saying he was appalled by the shocking scenes and that political violence in any form has no place in our societies. We heard similar messages from French President Emmanuel Macron and from the NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg, also here in Brussels. They were united very quickly in their condemnation of the attacks, making it clear that political violence in any form has no place in democracies and in the democratic process. We've seen the reaction from the United States. We've seen Joe Biden calling Americans to cool things down. That is also the message across Europe, where, of course, in the last 2 months, we've had one prime minister in Slovakia being shot and another prime minister in Denmark being attacked in the streets of Copenhagen. So there's a real concern of escalating political violence here in Europe as well.
Oh, so you're saying there's a real threat that the leaders have voiced this worry that political violence could spread to Europe too? Could it spread to other parts of Europe as well?
Well, there's a concern that it could. As I said, Robert Fico, the Slovak Prime Minister, just 2 months ago was shot in public at point-blank range when he was shaking hands with people having just left a cabinet meeting. He himself said that the Trump shooting is a carbon copy of the script, saying that Trump's political opponents are trying to shut him down, although we still don't know the motivations behind the shooting. The far-right leader in the Netherlands, Geert Wilders, who's been under police protection for decades now in the Netherlands for fear of attack, said that what happened to Trump in the US could happen in the Netherlands. And finally, Giorgia Meloni, the Italian Prime Minister, saying that this attack was a warning to everyone that we must restore dignity and honour to politics. There is a fear that what happened in the United States, polarized politics, divisive politics, divided politics, could lead to individuals taking violent acts against their leaders. We've seen the Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen in the streets of Copenhagen just a month ago, punched by a man there. So there is a concern, of course, and therefore the security of leaders, of politicians, of candidates across the European Union will now be in very sharp focus.
Okay. Hope some sane sense prevails in Europe. Thank you, Alex Kadir, for joining us from Brussels for the moment. And Vikram Misri today assumed charge as the new Foreign Secretary of India. Upon taking charge, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar congratulated him and wished him a productive and successful tenure. The EMEA team also extended a warm welcome to him and wished him a successful tenure ahead. Misri has succeeded Vinay Quatra, who demitted office yesterday. And to take a look at Vikram Misri's career graph, a career diplomat from the 1989 batch of the Indian Foreign Service, Misri has served in various capacities at the Ministry of External Affairs, also in the Prime Minister's office in New Delhi, and in various Indian missions abroad in Europe, Africa, Asia, and North America. Misri has served abroad in Brussels, Tunis, Islamabad, and Washington, D.C. He was the Deputy High Commissioner of India in Sri Lanka and the Consul General of India in Munich. He was India's ambassador to China between 2019 and 2021. He was most recently the Deputy National Security Advisor of India, a post that he held from the 1st of January 2022 to 30th June 2024. Ambassador Misri is the fellow of the Aspen Institute, USA's India Leadership Initiative. Well, the World Youth Skills Day is being observed today to celebrate the strategic importance of equipping young people with skills for employment, decent work and entrepreneurship. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi launched the Skill India campaign in the year 2015, empowering the youth of the country with adequate skill sets that will enable their employment in relevant sectors and improve productivity. And let's now take a look at other stories making news. Delhi's Rouse Avenue Court on Monday extended the judicial custody of Aam Aadmi Party leader Manish Sisodia for 7 days in connection with the liquor policy case. The Rouse Avenue Court will hear the CBI case next on July 22nd. Sisodia was produced in the court via video conferencing. The National Testing Agency announced on Sunday that it will conduct a retest for affected candidates of the Central University entrance test in a computer-based test mode on Friday. The decision has been taken considering the grievances received by a section of candidates. According to NTA, admit cards for all affected candidates will be issued soon. The Archaeological Survey of India on Monday submitted scientific survey report of the disputed Bhojshala Kamal Maula Mosque complex to Madhya Pradesh High Court. Around 37 idols of different gods and goddesses were found by the ASI during excavation, which started on March 22nd and was completed on June 27th. More than 1,700 pillars, walls and scriptures were discovered during the excavation. The next hearing in the case will be on the 22nd of July. In preparation for the Bahuda pilgrimage in Puri, which marks the return of the deities to Jagannath temple on Monday, the Bahuda Yatra, associated with Lord Jagannath, Goddess Subhadra and Lord Balabhadra, has started with great enthusiasm. The chariots were displayed in front of the Gundicha temple this morning before the celebrations began. People have gathered in India's eastern state of Odisha's Puri to witness and take part in the Bahuda pilgrimage. And still to come up on DD India News Hour, mixed reactions in global markets ahead of the US elections. US dollar rises, euro eases, pound sterling falls. Spain wins the European Championship. Fireworks at the Eiffel Tower to celebrate France's National Day, also known as Bastille Day, and the Paris 2024 Olympic Games.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Amritpal Singh. In News Hour, it's time for business updates. Well, ahead of the Republican National Convention, the dollar rose along a significant jump in cryptocurrencies. The jump came after unsuccessful assassination attempts on the former US president, bolstering his chances in the November election. The rising dollar eased euro by 0.14% to $1.0895. While the sterling fell by 0.09% to $1.2978. 10-year Treasury futures edged lower while bond yields moved inversely to price. On the other hand, the Australian dollar eased 0.13% to 0.67, and the New Zealand dollar slid by 0.3% to $0.61. The Chinese yuan continued its southward slide and stood at 7.26 per dollar, whereas the Japanese yen stood at 157.95 per dollar. Bitcoin surged to a two-week high on Monday after the failed assassination attempt on US presidential candidate Donald Trump raised the odds of the former president, who has presented himself as a champion of cryptocurrency, winning the upcoming election. Bitcoin rose 8.6% to $62,508, touching a two-week high of $62,698 earlier in the session, taking its year-to-date gains to 47%. Kenya's government plans to cut 2024-25 spending by 1.9% and widen the fiscal deficit to 3.6% of the GDP in a revised budget. Kenya's President William Ruto last week had fired almost his entire cabinet and pledged to set up a broad-based government in his latest concession to demands from protesters. Public demonstrations began last month against the now banned tax hikes. Ruto had earlier this month proposed spending cuts and additional borrowing in roughly equal measure to fill the nearly $2.7 billion budget hole caused by the withdrawal of the tax hikes. You're watching DD India News Hour, and it's time now for some sports updates. And I have with me my colleague Abhishek Mahajan. Abhishek, tell us what's happening in the world of sports.
A lot is happening in sports of Nepal. Thank you. In fact, we'll start with the football Copa America. Argentina clinched their second consecutive Copa America title despite seeing Lionel Messi being substituted off in the second half on Monday. Substitute striker Lautaro Martinez opened the scoring for Argentina in the 112th minute. Martinez's strike proved enough as Argentina clinched the title with a 1-0 win. After neither of the teams managed to find a goal in 90 minutes, the game headed into extra time. In the second half, Lionel Messi had to be substituted after sustaining an ankle injury. Earlier, the match was delayed by 82 minutes due to a security issue after numerous ticketless fans got inside the stadium, causing a mayhem. And let's talk about Euro now. One of world football's biggest tournaments has come to a close in an electrifying grand finale in Berlin. Spain defeating England 2-1 to win the 2024 European Championship. The Spanish raising the silverware to cheers and applause from fans at Berlin Olympia Stadium. DD India's Trent Murray was there and filed this update. Take a look.
Well, it was exactly 1 month ago that Euro 2024 kicked off with 24 of Europe's top teams all competing for what is one of the most coveted prizes in world football. And tonight we got our answer over who the winner was. It was España, Spain. 4 times they have now taken out this championship. They are the record holder now for the most number of wins in Euro history. And for Spain, in many ways, they took the hardest road to get here, taking down football heavyweights like Italy, France, Germany, and of course tonight, England. For the English, well, you can imagine there'll be disappointment. Fireworks for the Spanish. The fiesta, I imagine, will go well into the night here as Spain officially clenches that prize and can call themselves the winner of Euro 2024. Trent Murray for DD India, Berlin.
And euphoric fans celebrated Spain's Euro Cup win in Sunday's showpiece for a record 4th title. Spain added a 4th title to those won in 1964, 2008 and 2012 as only the 3rd team in the last 9 Euros to win the trophy without coming through a shootout at some point in the tournament. All right, from football to tennis now. Spain's Carlos Alcaraz on Sunday created history by becoming the 6th player in Open era to win Roland Garros and Wimbledon in the same year. 21-year-old defeated 7-time Wimbledon champion Novak Djokovic in Wimbledon's men's final. Alcaraz beat Djokovic in straight sets 6-2, 6-2 and 7-6. The Spaniard was just too good for one of the greatest tennis players to become the Wimbledon champion once again. Djokovic put up a fight back in the 3rd set and pushed the game to the tie-break, but Alcaraz played one of the best games of his career to claim a clinical win on the centre court. And with a nod to the coming Olympic Games, a grand fireworks and drones display around the Eiffel Tower capped Bastille Day celebrations in France on Sunday. The fireworks show also culminated the first day of the Olympic torch relay in Paris, where the cauldron was lit up at the City Hall. Drones lit up the sky, forming figures of Olympians, a discus thrower, a rhythmic gymnast, a Paralympics fencer. Amrit, that's all we have in sports stories. Back to you, Amritpal.
What visual delight it was
absolutely.
to watch the fireworks at the Eiffel
Bastille
Tower.
Day, yeah.
Thank you, Abhishek, for giving all the sports updates. And that's it in this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code that you see on your screens right now to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Amritpal Singh, and from my entire team here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.